Welcome to the Dating After Divorce podcast. I'm your host, Sade Curry, and I believe every divorced woman deserves a romantic relationship where she feels safe, loved, and cherished. You can create the most amazing life after divorce, and I will teach you how. Hello, and welcome back to the Dating After Divorce podcast. I'm your host, Sade Curry, and it is good to be back. So today I want to talk about dating apps again, but really from the perspective of overwhelm. And with some of my clients, I've noticed that they are ready to date. They want to meet someone, whether it's because the kid's out of the home or because this is just something they've chosen to do at this point in time. They are ready to meet their partner. They're ready to date actively. But dating apps cause them overwhelm. For some clients, there is a neurodivergent aspect to it, the way their brain responds to technology. For some of them, it's just being in perimenopause, being in their 40s and in their 50s, and the way their brains are handling things differently, the way their hormones are working causes this overwhelm when handling something like a dating app. And dating apps are somewhat unique in the way that they affect our attention. They're very similar to social media, where you're on social media and you've got a million notifications if you haven't turned them all off. It feels like you've walked into a stadium with thousands of people and all of them are shouting your name. All of them are wanting your attention. And when you're using a dating app early in your journey, if you're not already seasoned and a pro at it, it can feel like that. And I remember working with a client who was in her early 50s, got on the dating apps for the first time after her divorce, and she was paralyzed with just the amount of attention she was receiving. And she didn't even have the bandwidth really to process all of the attention. For those of you who have been on dating apps or often on dating apps, every time you come on for the first time, they give you like a million views and a million notifications. And for her, just every notification, every ping, every like felt like a demand on her attention. Because of her personality, she had a very empathetic nature, had some people pleasing going on. She felt obligated to consider every human who was on the other side of every message, who was on the other side of every like, and she felt guilty if she didn't respond. And felt guilty if she responded, but she didn't respond, and I'm holding up quotes, in time. And for her, this was something that also happened at work. So again, I don't want to project that this is something that's happening to everyone, but I really want to speak to the people who have this challenge. Like if you are dating, if you're on the apps and you find yourself procrastinating using the apps, or find yourself procrastinating, accepting a date or going on a date or taking dating actions because of just how much obligation you feel when you think of the whole process as other people making demands on you and demands that you may or may not be able to fulfill. So let's just talk about what overwhelm is. Overwhelm is an emotion that you feel when your brain believes you do not have the capacity to successfully handle what is in front of you or what is coming at you, right? Our brains are wired for like real life, one-on-one interactions, small group interactions. I read somewhere a while ago that, at the point to which our brains have evolved and adapted, we are sort of wired with the capacity to handle being in a tribe of no more than 100, maybe 150 people. Like our brain can handle being in a community where we actually know and acknowledge up to 100 and something people. But what's happening today? What's happening today is we have our family, we have our friends, we have our local community, our neighborhoods, and then we have our social media family. You have thousands of friends on every platform, hundreds of comments when you post something. You have, when you're doom scrolling, you have conversations, and you're not having a conversation with each person, but your brain is processing every reel that you scroll through as a different conversation with a different person. So we are living in a way that does not work for the way our brains were designed. Then there are certain personalities, some people who are highly sensitive, people who are highly empathetic, who then take it a step further, right? Like some people are able to, look at the comments, maybe they have 10 comments and they're like, oh, that's really nice. I appreciate those comments. And then they move on. And they have the ability to turn off the connection to those comments or the connection to those reels or the connection to the message. And then there's some people who have less of that ability. And for those people, this was the case for this client, she was very much attached to the idea and the knowledge that on the other side of every comment that she received on social media was a human. And she would want to give each human a thank you or a reply to every comment, and also make sure that her comment and her response was acceptable to that person. And so when she got on the dating apps and received messages, her brain was overwhelmed at the thought of having to figure out every message to send to these people. And then she would be frozen for a couple of days, and then she'd become even more frozen after that, because now she's like, oh my God, now they're upset because I didn't reply for 2 days. So she was experiencing a lot of cognitive overload. And that is what the emotion of overwhelm is about, right? So instead of maybe feeling flattered by the attention and being like, oh, I still got it, this is great, I might find a few good dates here, or I might find a partner here, dating for this kind of person will start to feel like another full-time job. It will start to feel stressful, and it will start to feel like your life is going to be out of control because you're already busy and now you have this huge chore ahead of you. And once this starts to happen, it really can derail your ability to move forward and find a partner. Some people, if you're aware of this, then you're like, okay, my brain is overwhelmed. I'm really busy. Maybe I shouldn't date right now. Again, that's not necessarily true, because the problem is not that you don't have time to date or the capacity to date. The problem is you didn't see that this is overwhelm, and this is your brain simply not being equipped naturally to handle this. And so we have to change the way you handle this situation. And then for some other people, they start to think, oh, dating apps are horrible. I shouldn't be on the dating apps. I can't handle dating apps. Dating apps are overwhelming. I receive 50 messages, but none of them are going to be good, right? What happens is then they start to misinterpret what's happening. So when you're not aware that this is just a 2024 situation where our brains are still catching up with the technology that we are using, we can start to misinterpret the problem, right? And start to create anxiety, frustration. We start to create self-doubt, thinking that we're not cut out for dating. Do you wonder exactly how divorced women just like you are meeting eligible men who want a real relationship and a commitment? They're doing it by dating with their core values. Your core values are the GPS that lead you to the partner you've been looking for. When you use your core values on dating apps, text messages, and at social events, you will easily connect with your true match partner without chasing, settling, or wasting time with non-committal men. I have taught exactly how to do this in the 2-hour Core Values Dating Blueprint course available on my website, sadecurry.com/dating. That's SADECURRY.com/dating. dating. You will learn exactly how to identify your core values and use them on your dating profile, how to ask the right questions via text, and how to tell the right stories on dates so that you attract the right people and repel those who aren't right for you. If you're ready to meet your true match, hop over to sadecurry.com/dating or click the link in the show notes. Now back to the episode. In 2024, what we want to do is start to create some strategies so that you can gain control of how your brain is perceiving what's happening. And that's really the key, because dating apps are not going away. Our world is changing, in some ways for the better, in some ways for the worse. That's kind of how the world has always been. And the technological mismatch is something that we're not going to be able to roll back in any way. And what we want to do is make sure that we are using technology to meet your goals versus running away from technology, or even creating the belief that you can't handle technology or that you can't grow and change to use the tools available to achieve your goals. I always tell my clients, yes, the macro situation is happening, this global situation, this overall change in the system with technology and, things happening in the culture and ways of dating and dating etiquette. All of those things are happening and changing at the macro level. However, we can create a micro experience for you as an individual, right? We can say, hey, let's take control of your brain and choose ways of interpreting what's happening and choose actions that lead you to achieve your goal in the midst of all of these. So to take control of the way your brain is thinking, we want to first of all stop with the snap judgments. When our brains encounter something that makes us afraid or overwhelmed or, paralyzed, we start to make these broad generalizations, right? We go into the library of what we already know, what we've heard on social media, what we've experienced, and we start to decide that, oh yeah, this just isn't going to work. Dating apps are horrible, because we've heard that so many times. And so we're making these generalizations, or we're looking at the profiles and we're like, okay, I got to get through 100 profiles today because I have all of these likes and I have to reply to all of these likes today, because then they will be angry if I don't get back to them the same day. And that doesn't give you the space to give a fair shake to every profile. And so you might dismiss potential matches based on trivial details, or just based on the fact that you feel somewhat irritated or annoyed, and your brain can just decide to get overly picky about certain things, right? And that's a whole other podcast episode. But the idea here is to slow things down and remove the pressure to respond outside of your own intentions. You do have the ability to process the information on the dating apps. However, you have to do it your own way. You have to do it in a way that works for you, right? We have to take off that pressure. The pressure isn't helpful in any way. The pressure to get it done, or the pressure to resolve the discomfort that comes with using the dating apps. This is what one of my coach colleagues calls the productive struggle. There is a productive struggle in achieving a goal. There's a productive struggle in doing something new. There's a productive struggle that comes with being in an unfamiliar situation. And when we slow down and choose to engage with that productive struggle, we have growth. So think of the dating apps as an opportunity for growth for you. And then we want to start to create ways for you to interact mindfully. The first thing I want to say about that mindful interaction is to remember that what is happening on the dating apps is not reality. Again, that's probably a whole other podcast episode. People make what is happening on the dating apps too real. And of course, our brains love to do this, especially when it comes to romance. We already have a tendency to fantasize, to have fairy tale thinking, to rush, to move too quickly, to create connection with people we don't even know. We already have that tendency. Then the dating apps just add to that because it's that instant dopamine hit when you get that text, when you get that ping. So interacting mindfully on a dating app requires you to treat this like it is just pixels on a screen until you are in a face-to-face, in-person interaction with someone you have met. Treat everything that happens up until that as unreal. Like, this is just pixels on the screen. That person on the other side could turn out to be a bot, could turn out to be a scammer, could turn out to be a narcissist. They could also turn out to be the greatest love story that you've ever written. But until it becomes real, it's not real. And I'm constantly reminding my clients about that. This is one of the ways that having a coach can be very helpful because I am outside of the situation. I am not emotionally invested in any of these interactions. I'm able to remind my clients when they come to me, talking about, hey, this guy that they met who's perfect. I'm like, he might be. Let's keep him in the maybe bucket because we haven't met him. We haven't talked to him. So I'm able to keep my clients accountable in that way. Treat what's happening on the apps as pixels on a screen. These are just ones and zeros. This is just electricity moving through a device. These are not immediate demands. These are not real demands on your life. Now, of course, if your goal is to meet a partner, you also don't want to, oh, this is not real. I don't have to look at my dating apps for the next 6 weeks. That's not going to get you to your goal either. But I know you already know that. What you want to do is intentionally decide how you will interact. With my clients, I have like a basic guideline, and then they work around it depending on their goals and what they're looking for, which is interact with the dating apps twice a day. So early in the day, go on there for 20 minutes, swipe right, left until you have about 10 people that you have swiped right on, and then close. And then if you have any messages you need to reply to those messages. That should take you no more than 20 minutes at best. And the reason you don't want to swipe right on more than 10 people at a time is that you really cannot keep up with more than 10 messages at a time. So out of those 10 people, maybe 5 of them will respond. And then maybe 3 of them or 2 or 3 of them will turn out to be decent people that you actually want to have a conversation with. And maybe 1 of them will turn into a date. Same thing in the evening after work or just before bed, another 20 minutes, address any conversations that you've started. And maybe swipe right on up to 5 or 10 more people. What I find is a lot of women are going on there because of a lot of mindset challenges and all sorts of things that we deal with in my coaching practice. You find yourself on there for hours at a time. Your brain is just looking for that hit. You can't get that hit because what your brain is looking for is a partner. You can't get a partner out of 3 hours on the dating apps. That's just not how dating works. Dating is a process. Being on the dating app is just the very tippy top beginning part of finding a partner. It's like finding a job. Sitting on the computer for hours at a time, combing through jobs and applying to hundreds of jobs is just the very beginning of the job process. There's the networking. There is going on interviews. There's going on the second interview, third interview, fourth interview. There's the waiting. There's the background checks. There's so many things that happen before you get a job. But imagine if you were sitting on your computer 12 hours a day, wanting a job to jump out at you. That isn't the way we handle that. Dating is the same way. Know that what you're doing on the dating apps is just the tippy top beginning of the process. So don't be overwhelmed by it. Make it work for you. Have boundaries for yourself. Sometimes we're too caught up with setting boundaries for other people, and we don't remember that the most effective boundaries are the ones we set for ourselves. 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, and then live your life. If you do that, or you have something similar that you craft around your personality and your goals, you will be able to sustain your dating app journey long enough to actually meet someone. People who don't set boundaries for themselves around the dating apps tend to burn out on the dating apps. That's what when someone says dating apps are exhausting, I have an idea of how they're using them. Or when they say I'm burned out on the dating apps, I know that they've just gone in there with this really, really, really desperate energy to find someone as quickly as possible. And that's because they're not able to hold the discomfort of being single and being in the search. You have to be able to grow your emotional capacity to hold the journey, to stay in the journey so that you make good decisions. If you're so eager to break the tension of being in the process, you will not have the cognitive space to be mindful and intentional and selective about who you actually bring into your life. And that requires you to be calm, at peace, in that neutral space while you evaluate what's happening on the dating apps. Put you in control of this journey. Dating can feel very much out of control when you are seeing yourself as at effect of everything. Oh, the dating apps are coming at me. These men are coming at me. This person said this to me. This person is looking at me, and you're in reactive mode. You're reacting to everything that's happening. You go on the apps, you see something, and then you react to it. That's not very effective. You want to be the boss of your dating journey. You're not the boss of everybody out there, but you can be the boss of you. This requires some emotional detachment around how other people feel about you, about what the dating app serves up to you, what the dating app is doing, what people are saying about dating on the internet. You might have friends who tell you, hey, you should do this, whatever it is, but that might have worked for them. But remember, you are in control of your own journey, and your journey is unique. So in between considering what you want your journey to look like, your core values, the kind of person you're wanting to meet, your day-to-day life, you might be a busy professional, busy entrepreneur, you might have children. All of that will dictate how you approach the apps. All of that will dictate the strategies that you use to remove overwhelm. If you do feel overwhelmed, I want you to take a step back to say, what's causing that? Always take a step back when you feel emotions. Our emotions are messengers. They come to tell us, hey, something's happening here. Let's pause and see what's going on. Good emotion, good, comfortable, happy emotions, they tell us that we're enjoying something and we should pay attention to it, maybe do more of that. And our more uncomfortable emotions tell us that we might need to adjust something. We might need to change something. We might need to improve something in our lives. That's all that's happening. If you are having an uncomfortable experience on the dating apps, it's not a sign that you can't meet someone. It's a sign that you need to change how you're interacting with the dating apps. Dating apps themselves are not inherently good or bad. Lots of people have met their partner on dating apps. Lots of people have also had experiences that were harmful to them on dating apps. It really depends on how you use the tool. This is the same with everything. Some people are having amazing experiences using the internet. Other people are having some not so amazing experiences using the internet. It depends on how that person is using it. And so if you want to have a conversation around the experience you are having on dating apps, I want to invite you to schedule a consultation call with me. The consultation call is no cost. And we can talk about ways that I can help you change the experience that you are having. And you can also sign up for my free course, 5 Simple Steps to Achieving an Extraordinary Love After Divorce. I think that's the title. I've changed the title of that free course so many times. It's something like that. And you're going to find those links in the show notes of this episode. So it's a 5-day workshop that I held for women who were dating after divorce. And it was just so amazing, had so much fun. And I've just wanted to put that information out into the world again. It's about 5 hours long, and it includes a workbook of self-reflection questions and a checklist of 50 green flags of a healthy relationship to help you evaluate the people that you meet while you are dating. So if you would like that free course, look in the show notes for the link, or you can go to my website, sadecurry.com, and sign up for the free course. All right. If you are experiencing overwhelm, I hope this podcast episode has been useful to you. If you have more questions, please feel free to reach out. My email is Sade@sadecurry.com. That's SADE@SADECURRY.com. Thank you for your time and attention, and I will see you next time. Thanks for listening today. If you are ready to get married after divorce, I want to invite you to download my free 8-video training specifically designed to help divorced women date with ease and get married again. Head over to SadeCurry.com to get started. That's SADECURRY.com. I'll see you inside.